In Vietnam, war was such a part of our life. Vietnam has been through just generations of conflict. I was born in 1967 in a town called Di Linh, Vietnam, very small town. And my dad owned a photography studio, and that was at the bottom, and our family lived on the top floor. We have seen a lot of American soldiers come through to get their pictures taken to send home to their loved ones in the U.S. So we didn't know that we would one day end up living in America. My childhood was very happy. I had family, friends, went to school, church, and occasionally we would see military vehicles roll through or soldiers go through town, but that seemed normal. One day I came home from school and my parents had everything packed onto a bus, and they said, "We're going to be leaving town." My dad was a traveler because he was a photographer, so that's how he kept up with what was going on. And he heard word of possible attacks near our town, so that's why he wanted us to go ahead and get out. We ended up in a small fishing community. We were allowed to stay in one woman's house, a very tiny room, like the size of a closet. One day, my dad said, "You know what, I'm gonna let the kids have a little fun. Let's go to the beach." So my mom and my baby brother stayed back, and we were here on the beach, and my little brother, T.U., was acting up, so my dad made him go back with Mom. And luckily he did, because all of a sudden we were playing on the beach and we just heard chaos, gunfire, people running, screaming, and crying. It was scary. Yeah. We took off for the harbor. Now, we didn't own a boat, and a lot of people had already taken off into the water. So my dad tried to beg people really to let us on their boats, and of course they would not let us on. One of our relatives happened to see us from offshore, and she got these little basket weave type boats that would only take a couple of people at a time, and she would row out there and put us on. And then we'd get on the boat, and then we ended up floating in the middle of the water. No idea where we were going to go, where we'd end up, what would happen to us. We ended up at Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, a refugee camp there. My dad would sell some of our jewelry just to have some money for us to eat ice cream. And then one day he just said, there's a St. James Catholic Parish in Rockford, Illinois, that would like to sponsor our family. Imagine living in very hot, humid conditions in Vietnam and ending up, in Illinois in winter with snow. That was quite an interesting adjustment. Then one day my dad just said, "Well, you know what? I think we're losing our language, our culture, our roots." And there are many communities in New Orleans, and he hooked up with some of his friends from Vietnam, and all of a sudden said, "Okay, we're moving to New Orleans." And so that's how we ended up in New Orleans, and I went to high school and then college there, and majored in broadcast journalism, and then got my first job here at WLOX in Biloxi. So that's how I ended up here in Mississippi. After listening to stories from my relatives in Vietnam, the conditions that they had to endure after the war, my family and I are very, very blessed to be living here in America.